what is community? Because I mean, we want to start there so we can give a baseline of where we need to go from here. So, we were talking earlier, Cedric and I were talking about community. And for me, what stuck out was our YouTube and Instagram community to me is important. I mean, gaining so much information, gleaning so many tips, ideas, suggestions, but then there's also the element of in person, right? In person community. And so I don't know about necessarily men, but women, we do tend to thrive on that. But I know men, you guys all tend to be a little bit different. So you guys want to chime in on maybe what community is for you?
Okay, I guess I can start. Um, Community, as it relates to me as a man, is definitely different than women. Um, when I think about community for me, and I think about who we are individually, we are protectors, we are providers, we are the individuals that are trying to make sure that life continues on financially in all aspects. Um, Majority of the times, we base our relationships with the people that we have around us off of how much we feel safe and comfortable with bringing them into our element. And it's not just going to be anybody that we allow inside of our circle. So we're very much intentional in that aspect because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that our wives are protected and safe. We have to make sure that our children are protected and safe. When women go out into the world, you guys have that ability to connect with each other on not just a um, communication level, but on a level of emotion that men just don't have the ability to do.
Okay.
You know, I think as men, you're in a space where men are, we connect easy. We reach over, we talk, we speak, boy, we just fellas in the room. And it looks like we have a connection because the maleness has a unspoken brotherhood.
Yes.
You see it, and you see it in the military, you see it in sports, you fraternities. But the fact of the matter is, we often have very few friends. Our level of engagement is wide, and so the confusion is that we have a broader life engagement, a broader community, which is not true. We can go down to the club and hang out with 50 dudes, but when we need somebody to call, we got one boy or two dudes that we call that are our peers, that are our strength. And as we add people we have to protect, as Dave says, our wives, our children, that narrows, because those are factors that can either, if we can call it what it is, invade our territory, or cause harm and damage to those we love. So we narrow that space. We recognize the challenge of being men, and the the stereotypes that come with males around our women and children. We recognize that that's not always a fair space, but at the same time, we recognize that there are people who have those challenges. And out of a fear of not being able to recognize the difference between that all the time, we limit the kinds of people and the amount of men we have in our personal spaces, or we limit them because our wives don't like them, or our wives don't trust them, or our, let's be real, our wives don't like their wives, or something like that. And so sometimes I think we limit the community that we have because of what that is. And so I'm not sure as men that we truly know what community is, because our community lives in the house with us. That's where our community is, and so we base a lot of where we go from that. And so community is a challenging word, probably because, you know, what's acceptable from many factors. You know, as ladies, you know, you all decide what you want to do. That's what you want to do. And, you know, we can't criticize that. There's a stigma about us saying, you know, your friends all around. Every time I come to see you, every time I try to talk to you, every time I visit you, I got to date you and your girls. You know, that's a thing. But
that's a reality.
Okay, don't start no fights today.
No, I'm pouring it all out today. Y'all may be me.
Go there.
This is somebody else's house. I'm pouring it out. No, we make a lot of sacrifices about friends and community based on how we think that's going to be approached around us. So that is a tough word. I'm not sure if we really know what community is.
I like what the Yabros. Hey, Yabros.
Shout out to the Yabros.
Yeah.
Hey, those are our people.
Absolutely. So I like what they're saying here about the code keeps it surface level. So a community for you guys, as far as men, it doesn't get deeper. Like I think for us as women, we tend to find strength in going deep. Am I saying that right? We tend to find being open a healing process to us, an ability to be able to get what we need. Is it truly just keeping it surface level?
I would say yes, because I mean I think that's spot on, because as men, we, like, you know, Herman and Rob said, we're protective, right? We don't do good with drama. We read the room. It takes a lot to get into our really personal space. And, you know, I'm 50 years old and I can probably name some friends maybe on one hand that I can call if something is going on. And that's just how it is. And Herman, you brought up, a very good point. Is it appears, and I think that's the thing, right? It appears that we got this bond, all these men together got this bond, and it looks good on the surface, but really, and the reality of it is, we all go home and we don't talk to each other again for you know, ain't no telling how long. But the crazy thing is, we can come back together 3 months later and pick back up, and it still looks the same. And then the women are like, there's a strong bond with the men. How come nothing's happening with this move?
But I don't know if we need that every day. And when but the problem is when we need it, we don't know how to access it.
Right.
Several years ago, at the church we were attending, one of the gentlemen started a men's. He wanted to have a conversation about starting a men's ministry. And so, you know, we got together one weekend and sat down to kind of discuss what the parameters of what that would look like is. And it was just, you know, you start off and it's a surface conversation. You just kind of, you know, you're having basic conversation, you're making plans.
And this is an intergenerational group.
Right. It was from teenagers through elderly men at the time. By the time the conversation was over, there were tears. There was some unexpected emotion that happened in the room. It opened up, you know, that can of worms that we didn't expect to come to. And thankfully, we were able to turn that into an engagement. Now, mind you, that engagement was often around work. So we would come together and go do projects at people's houses, but there was conversation happening in there. Now, when it was time for us to hang out, that never happened. Because again, the stigma of Black men hanging together, and I'm being specific about that, Black men hanging together, whether it was to the community, whether it was to our wives, whether it was, you know, what y'all doing, what y'all up to, the maleness of, you know, you're accused. You know, we're not headed to the strip club. We just trying to, and we never made that a deep thing beyond that. But we found a space in which to do that, and that was work. That is a part of who we are as men.
I love what you're saying. For me, when I think about it, when I was growing up, a man's way of communication, our biggest outlet was going to the barbershop. Like, you hit the barbershop, you had all different types of conversations go on. People was talking about what was going on inside the household, the problems they had going on with the women. Sometimes if you went to the basketball court, on a Saturday morning, that same type of energy. But church was really the only outlet that you had that you could actually speak
Mm-hmm.
and be realistic with a bunch of brothers and release some of the emotional aspect that we have inside. It's not that men are not emotional. We're not overly emotional, and we don't draw on those emotions because we don't want to feel like we're being looked at differently as men based upon our emotions. When you're in a room with a bunch of other individuals, and Cedric, I think you just said it earlier, when you're in a room with a bunch of men, you find yourself looking around to make sure that you're not the person that's bringing the drama.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to bring the drama because at the forefront of most men, if we're all honest with ourselves, we have something initially inside of us that says, I want peace.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what that peace is going to look like, but I want peace.
Mm-hmm.
So every day that we wake up, we're looking for some form of peace to actually show up in our lives. And we fight and struggle every single day to engage with another brother and take in some of his drama and some of his problems. That's not something that men typically want to deal with.
But we also train that way. I mean,
Yeah.
when we're little boys, we hang all over the top of each other, we touch each other, we roll around on top of each other, and people tell us, stop touching each other like that. Why y'all all over the top of each other? Girls laying in the bed through high school, and nobody questions that level of. I mean, let's just. I mean, what
Yeah.
it is.
be
You can
honest.
call a spade a spade.
And so we physically engage by playing football, by playing basketball. It's where we can make contact. They're called full contact sports for a reason. That level of engagement. Boxers fighting each other are in an intimate relationship during that boxing match. That is intentional about men, and so when we're in less physically engaging spaces, you're cautious because are you going to question the fact that I'm feeling emotional right now? Are you going to question, are you going to question my manhood because I'm being vulnerable right now? And we carry that into every relationship. And so we lose that as a personal space of engagement between each other, even when we want to.
Right.
I think this conversation is so, I mean, when you all proposed the topic, I was just like where we've been massaging this some.
Yes.
And what I have found is that women have had the practice of talking, of leaning in, of transparency, vulnerability, intimacy. We have had an opportunity to practice that. And so it is very natural for us to lean in that way in this new process. Like, I'm going somewhere new. Where the sisters at? What are y'all doing? How you gonna get your hair done? Like, we can, there are ways that we connect. I think the Move Abroad process creates a new opportunity, and we're talking about a new opportunity for men that we're in the middle part of our lives. So, I mean, if you haven't done it in a while, this is a new opportunity because it creates it. I mean, it's a fertile ground for how can I lean in? Because I need to lean in. I need to talk to somebody else who understands from my perspective. 3 things we talk about on our channel. We talk about moving abroad for freedom, moving abroad for safety, and moving abroad because there is tension with the American identity. And that tension isn't just us to the West. It's how I express that, how I'm looking at that as a female it is different. Your orientation to those topics is completely different. And for this Move Abroad process to be beneficial to a couple, if you're not dealing with it, then you just hear you just tagging along. That's not what I want in this move abroad process. I want you to be able to lean in, feel heard, and that comes from community. How it looks, it's gonna look different, but it has to be with intention. Giving my partner support, space, opportunity to do that, I think as a wife is what I'm trying to be more intentional for. Because I can tell you all know I talk about Exodus Summit. I mean, like
Yes.
we got we've got what I tell you, 13,000 Black women talking about this, seeding into each other. And every time people are like, where are the brothers? They don't do it the same.
Let me touch on that, and that kind of leads into what you're saying, and that is, are we as men letting the intimacy stop us from doing that? Because do we really need that intimacy as a community when moving abroad, right? You can still have a community without the intimacy. And let me say this, because I said,
yes, go ahead.
let me say this, because I said I was going on live on Beyonce and tell D that I was wrong, because my thing was community. Yes, I understand community, but it's more, we moved abroad to build a life abroad and to integrate with the locals and things like that. But let me tell y'all something. We're in San Miguel right now, and this community out here is alive and kicking. They have completely changed my mind. Community is everything for a soft landing. And there's a big group of men out here, Black men out here with a community, and nobody knows about it unless you're in San Miguel. And I think that's the hurdle that we have to get past, right? Is to, like you said, the Exodus Summit, it's perceived, I'm a man, it's perceived by me as a man as it's a bunch of women that's trying to move abroad by any means necessary. If you're married or not, it don't make a difference. If your man don't want to go, leave him at home, and we're gonna go over there. And that could be furthest from the truth, right? Because the men aren't really engaging in that process. And I think that could be stopping us from doing that.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say something.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Cedric, you're bringing up very good points. Here in San Miguel, they do have a wonderful male community. In fact, Thursday, we're supposed to be getting together with the brothers because they're playing basketball in the park. And I'm a very avid chess player. For those of you who don't know it, I'm trying to become an international chess player. But we're going to sit there and play chess, have conversations, play basketball. I'm disabled, so I don't play basketball. But that sense of community is something that we do need as a soft landing. The name and title of our group, Intentional Metamorphosis. At the age that we are today, we have to be more intentional in the things that we do. Every day we change. Every single stage in life, there is a change. There's a metamorphosis that happens. The person that you married in the beginning is probably not the same person that you're married to today. The person that you journey with abroad is not the same person that they were back in the States. And at times, we don't know what it is that we're craving. We don't know what it is that we're desiring. But at the same time, we owe it to ourselves to try to figure those things out and be intentional about how we make those changes. Because if not, we'll wind up finding ourselves stumbling and falling.
Mm-hmm.
And as men, just like you said earlier, Herman, we don't have a group of men with a bunch of resources that are standing there, and if we wind up failing, they're going to come in and just pick it up. We don't have like women have those groups of women that they can pick up and say, "Oh, girl, I failed. Well, don't worry about it, girl. Come stay with me for a month, or girl, we'll figure it out along the way. You just get your stuff and come on. We don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
If I pick up the phone today and call Elise's brother, if I pick up the phone and call Cedric, if I pick up the phone and call my own father, the first question that is going to be asked is, what was your plan and what happened to your plan and why did it fail? And if by chance they do feel like helping, the next question is how long is that going to be?
Wow.
Well, I think women bond together for a cause. So even if they don't like each other, they got a cause, they can dive in through that. And as brothers, if I don't trust you, I don't care what we get. I don't care what the plan is. We're not hanging out together, and I don't trust you. That's not a thing. Forgive me, Bobby.
Nope, go for it. I got you.
A concern I have is community being ladies can't dictate for us what the community needs to look like.
That's true.
Because it doesn't look like how you do things doesn't mean we aren't making the connection. And I think under the surface, because we don't know how to say that doesn't work for me. Rob said earlier, I want peace. I'm not trying to, everything is a conflict. Everything is so I'm trying to find a way to make what I want to do not look like something you perceive it to be. And, so I'm diving and touching. And is it possible we do have community?
Yeah.
And because it doesn't look the same, my best friend and I, we've been tight boys since we were 6. I don't talk to him for 3-4 months at a time. But as you said earlier, we step into a space together. It's like we were talking 5 minutes ago, because the connection exists in what it is we have. Is it easier for us, especially as married men, to be community with our wives than it is to be community? If we're single, I don't have nobody to answer to. We hang out with our boys till we done. The minute we have someone to be accountable to, then we shave that back, both for the protection I spoke of earlier, but there's also a measure of I don't need no questions. I don't need to be doubted. I don't need no drama. She don't like Billy, and I know Billy sometimes short, so I don't hang with Billy no more. And we get into these dictated relationships, not blaming women. Not blaming women. I'm telling you how we've learned as sons, as brothers, as husbands, how we've learned to navigate the world we engage, as a guy said, our women with, the women in our lives. And we dictate everything we do around that concept. And we get trapped into being liars and cheaters and I'm using those phrases, but when you are not your authentic self, you are a liar and a cheater, and and we lose our authentic selves trying to avoid debate. Maybe.
I wanted to speak to something because I know I've seen a couple of things that
Tracy
said.
Collins, yes.
And one thing I want to say in regards to her first comment, I believe for us, it is having authentic connections. My husband had mentioned not too long ago when we were talking about this whole conversation in regards to nature versus
nurture.
And of course, we as women, we are nurturers. But I think to answer your question, Herman, in regards to maybe men don't need community, I think as wives, I'll say as wives, because us that are on here are married couples. As wives, when we go places, yes, we, maybe have a group of women that we connect with. But one of the things that we noticed when we went the other day, all different types of couples, we were there as couples. There was maybe 1 or 2 people that were there that actually are a couple, but came along because their person wasn't in town. But it was nice having our men there with us and the women being there together and seeing the men talk about, they talked about everything from finances and investing. They talked, yes, some about sports. They talked about the move abroad and what it's looking like for each one of them. And so it's when you're married, it's like, yes, we have our girls, and maybe we want you all to have community, but I think it's the thing of we want to see the men, all of us. You know what I mean? Like the men and women. And so it's for some that have not moved abroad yet. Yes, of course, it is more of us women are either finding something remote, or what we're seeing is that there's more women that are saying, what is my skill set? Dee does HR. I do benefits. Okay, how can we get together and make that work as something that we can leave, go abroad? We can get together as women and say, we both have this skill set. Let's start this business, or let's start this channel, and let's start helping, and let's put together this website, and then have people help. We're helping people whether they're in the States or whether they're abroad. And we're not seeing the men maybe realize, hey, I know you're at a brick and mortar right now, but possibly there's a skill set that you have and a skill set someone else has, and you can take that skill set and take it with you abroad and still have an income. So I know I hit a couple of different things there, because I know Tracy had mentioned a couple of things. So I was trying to hit on those too.
Yeah, a lot to unpack here, boy.
I do want to go back to because the Yarbroughs brought up a point, and then Tracy Collins brought up a good point. But we're project based, and our communities look like that. Ladies look for authentic friends, and a man is expected to always be authentic. Is this a true statement in the sense of men building this community? Because bottom line here is that we are trying to figure out what that community looks like for men, but also is that one of the root causes for men who may be interested in moving abroad, especially married men and women moving abroad, or is there some other layers to unpack here from the process?
I don't think there's any other layers to unpack. Men are project based. We are. I went to a marriage retreat before, right? And it was interesting hearing some of the things that people were talking about under the recap. But the female mind is geared, and it is built on communication and connection, right? They said that the female mind is connected on both hemispheres of the brain, right? Which means you can access both sides of your brain. It's no wonder then you could be inside of the kitchen and actually be on the phone with a friend and cook at the same time while holding the baby in the arm and hear what we're saying all at the same time. Because your brain is built to do that. Whereas a man, our brain is geared to being on one task at one time and do that task well until completion.
Absolutely.
And that's just the way we're built as individuals.
Absolutely.
I would find it a very crazy world to have both of us see the world the same exact ways.
Correct.
And that's correct. Not who
you
are.
Better preach. You better preach. Okay, so we've been married 24 years. We've been together 30 years. This move, I have found joy and benefit that I think my way and he thinks his way. But this move abroad process, I'm like, thank God you don't think like me. We would have been out the door and I'd been like, what did we just do? I mean, you need that balance. One of the things that I think the reason why I think several of us got together as married women in the Move Abroad community and said, I don't see myself, my lived situation as being a married person in this Move Abroad space. So it's risky, but we're going to get on Beyonce's internet and we're going to get out here and say, we here, we're doing it. It looks different. I'm not single. I don't have small kids. I'm not retired. And so what I have recognized is representation matters.
It does.
Representation. We need to see. I mean, when I think you found the Yarbroughs, I was just like, oh, there are couples out here. Oh, they doing it. Like, okay, so like, what does that look like? And so we would like break down the, what we were here, and I was like, well, he said this, and I was like, what does that mean? What do you think that he means by that? Representation matters. You need to be able to see yourself in these spaces. And right now, we know who is visible. The young men that are out there, what the algorithm is pushing forward are the men that are doing the single young man doing the single young man thing. So that literally the first conversation that we had with the men, people came on saying, I want to see if y'all talking the same talk as Black married men that we see on this internet. And so I think if the community looks different, it needs to be visible in how it looks different. People are saying, my husband understands it, like the anger translator. I mean, like they understand by hearing another man talk about this with the male brain's perspective and can see what I could not share or they could not share as a female partner. And I feel like that has to be visible. People need to do more than see the glitz, the glamour, the pretty, the beaches, you got to see the raw stuff and hear people massage this process and see how it can, so that they can see that, yes, I am represented in whatever slice of the pie that I see myself in.
I think especially I'll just say as far as Black women, but I'm just going to say, we're going to have spaghetti at least once a week. You know what I'm saying? People need to see that realness and that rawness. But also, I think for men seeing, or married men in this instance, seeing the fact that it can be done. I don't know, you could tell me if they do need the blueprint, right, to follow, to be able to say, this is what you need to do in order to prepare yourself to move abroad, and this is what moving abroad looks like from a couple's perspective. Is that true?
Yeah, I think yes. When Dee came to me and said, she's been talking years about moving abroad. We brought this to this is a sooner versus later kind of part of the conversation.
I would like for you to come with me.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Yeah. When I went out there to look, and I was like, okay, I want to hear more than just some guy speaking. I want to hear more than just, for lack of a way to better say, some white folk talking. What are people saying? What are Black men married to a Black woman? What is he saying? And it was crickets. And I found a video by Michelle. What's her page?
Oh, San Miguel Michelle.
Call it that. Okay. San Miguel Michelle. And her husband at the time had just moved there, and there was this video. I want you to hear his perspective on moving abroad. And I was like, wow, okay. And there was a spark, and then crickets, and then Angela and Lamar and Angela came and did one, and I was like, okay, and then crickets. And so when we came into this conversation, we came into this looking at whether or not we were going to be YouTube content creators. I was like, I want it to sound like there are real people, trying to make this move, trying to make this process. What are we looking at? Now, of course, we started out real formal because we were trying to find our space and our place. But right. What we hit on is, okay, look, this is what it is, and it's hard. When I had that first conversation with the men, Rondell was in there, Rick Crawley was there, Cartes, and we were having this conversation. and everybody was like, man, these men are, you know, because here are married men saying this is not easy. This is two different people with two different perspectives trying to make not a small decision like, you know, we're moving from this state to that state. It's not a small decision like we're trying to buy a house. We're trying to pack up our bags, leave the kids, leave the family. We move into the other side of forever, and we're going to do this all over again. And we need to take our personalities into this. We need to take where we are in this relationship and do this over again. That hit home. That hit home. And I miss the regular opportunity to have those conversations with these men. I would love for that to be. And people, Tanya's on here, she's saying all the time, you know, I'm trying to get my husband, he's watching y'all, he's into that. That I'm honored to hear that. I mean, I don't deserve that, but I receive it. Let's go. Let's have a conversation. It's the continuation part of it. Because men are project-based, because men are, and when we say one thing at a time, we're not talking about our inability to do more things. It's we relish the opportunity to do the thing we're working on well. So we focus on a thing.
What does that look like?
I cook.
What does that look like for y'all? When you say Project Mind in the Move Abroad space, Cedric, what does that, I mean, like, I'm still trying to put my arms around what does that look like? What, I mean,
when I go to the store for bread, I go to the store for bread. Okay. I'm not walking up and down the aisles. I'm going to the bread aisle to get bread because I got something else I plan to do. If I go to the store to wander around, I have no idea what I came here for, and I need something. I'm wandering around. If I came to the store for a purpose, that's what I came to get. She's like, you didn't get mayo? I went to the store for bread.
That's where you come to. Every man is different. That's where that iron sharpens iron comes in. Because if I go to the store for bread, I'm going to get the bread. I'm going to walk out. Rob's going to go get the bread. He's going to say, oh, that's right. There's no mayonnaise. And oh, yeah, I think I didn't see any lunch meat in there either. And I might as well go ahead and get something to drink because now he's going to make it a meal.
But that's because I cook.
But it's different.
But, and see, I do too. But if I go to the store with an open mind, then I have more things I'm going through. If I know I want bread, but there's also not this, I have that in mind. But if I'm running to the store on a quick run just to get that bread, I don't see anything else.
Right.
And we focus in on those pieces like that. And I think wanting to connect, we're wanting to be a little freer. And I don't know how we do that in a way. I want to be able to, I pick up said, call him on the phone and he's like, man, I never crossed the word. I'm busy. Stop calling me. I mean, but we want to be able to connect. I'm not sure we know how to do it in a way that also does not interject or disrupt the lives of the gentlemen we want to be in contact with.
I like what Tracy said. It says men can reshape what community looks like for them to support Black men in the Move Abroad process because your experience is not only unique, but valid. I believe this goes back to the heart of what we've been discussing thus far. Everybody's been talking about it, touching on the subject of where we are today in this world of online communication, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram, whether it be TikTok or YouTube. People are constantly looking at social media. And as a Black man, just like Herman said earlier, sometimes we go ahead and look online to find other individuals that are doing what we're trying to do. And we're trying to glean information that will be helpful for us as we try to go ahead and do this move abroad. Now, also what Herman said, in the beginning, if a woman brings something to us and says, oh, this is beautiful, this is nice, and this could be possible, now we start to think in our mind, what does it really look like? Okay, I get the beauty. Okay, I get that it's nice and it could be possible, but what does that truly look like?
Mm-hmm.
I think I said this earlier to one of my friends. When it comes to men, you also think children. So there are a lot of men that right now that deal with child support issues that don't even have the ability to move abroad. So there's an issue there. Then you have the other men that are dealing with what does that look like for if I move abroad and I have to deal with issues with my mother getting sick? How's that going to affect our move abroad process? And if I move abroad financially, what is it that I'm going to be really doing? When you talk about Exodus Summits, you're talking about Perry and all of those different ladies, right? That they've done a really, really good job
Absolutely.
at sharing information to women to show them how they can go ahead and move abroad. These are the different jobs that you can do. You can go do house sitting, but how does house sitting actually relate to financial income for a man? What does that look like for a man in his life to say, hey, my job is right now I'm house sitting and I'm making money here and there, if you try to get into a relationship with a woman. And let's be realistic about it. If you do the statistical data and the numbers, the group of individuals that are moving abroad more rapidly than anybody else are between the ages of 30 to 40. And then again, from the ages of 60 to 70. These are the age brackets of individuals that are moving abroad. But what does that really truly say as far as data is concerned? That says that these are individuals who are a little bit more seasoned in life, who've had situations as far as relationships are concerned. So some of them are not even really wanting to get in relationships. And then on the other side, it's those individuals who've been in relationships for long periods of times, and they're at the stage now that they want to retire. So these are the two largest brackets of individuals that are moving abroad. But again, living abroad means something different to each and every individual. For one person, moving abroad says, I'm going to do this 6 months out of the year. The other 6 months, I'm going to be back in the States. For another individual, I'm going to be here full time. This is where I'm going to dedicate the rest of my time. And then there's other individuals say, well, I want to go hop around from different place to different place. And then there's also that group of individuals that said, well, I can't do it to that level, but I can, periodically, 2 months out of the year, I can be here and then I'm back in the States, and then 2 more months, then I'm out there again, and then I'm back in the States. So it looks different to each and every individual.
But it can be done.
It's
just
possible.
different.
It can be done.
Well, I guess the question goes back to like the Exodus Summit, right? How can men replicate that, and in a way that works for men? That not that it looks identical to what they're doing, but in a way to where we connect as men to say, hey, you know what? If you're coming to San Miguel, we got this, we got that, we got this. Or if you're looking to move abroad, you don't know where to start. There's this, there's this, there's this. Because I think, like you said, Herman, I think having the conversations are good. I think, but as men, we never follow through on the consistency. And I think that's the actual start, to have these. And I will be on board with you to have these weekly or bi-weekly, whatever you want to do on live, to have these type of conversations. Yeah, I'm putting it out there.
Did you hear him?
To have these type of conversations, because it
is needed.
I don't know how I keep saying this. It blew my mind at the community here in San Miguel.
Really?
And how, if that community would have had, like when we went to Puerto Vallarta, right? There's a community there, but it's not the same type of community. It's not looking, you have to kind of pick and choose. But the community in San Miguel is literally trying to help Black people move abroad. And what does that look like for you? What do you need? How can we help you? It's totally different. And I, like Rob said earlier, I think I didn't know I needed that. Like, we don't know we need that until you get in that space. And it's like, wait a minute, okay, this is what's missing. And how can we take this to the next level? How can we share this in a way to where you know, we
But
can
I
start.
think you said
I'm-
it, and that was, I'm sorry, I was going to say, I think you said it, you just don't know that you've said it. And we had that discussion at one point too. And that is, yes, the consistency. What is the main thing about Rashida and Stephanie and some of the other people that you see? They're out there, almost like, I mean, I know they're enjoying themselves, but they're out there like a business. They pop up on your phone.
It is their
Pop up.
business.
Yes,
Yes.
it pops up. And so I did say, Herman, I said, I really enjoyed, and it was great to be able to pull my husband at the time before we were even coming to say, hey, look, there's a group of men that are getting on, and listen to some of what they're talking about. And he's here now. But I'm saying that consistency of getting the brothers from different places, whether it's San Miguel, whether it's Rondell while he's out there, Cortez, Big Will, getting Gene, getting all the guys on here, and maybe adding someone new. I know there's some guys that are in Panama, Mary, getting on here as a group. If it's once a month, if it's twice a month, but somehow getting that momentum that's going to start the algorithms, right, of it starting to pop up on people's screen, because that's really what happened for us, is we just started seeing it pop up after we surged. So I think that would be helpful.
I was gonna say, is it this simple of a blueprint, like what the Yabros are saying? Find the right hood, get X amount of dollars coming in, and find out which station can get the game, figure out the video lineup. He's saying, his projects be simple, but is that a start for the conversation for men? Is that the start of community?
Connection. If that's, literally, okay, so I am a student of Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow. Okay, I am a student. And that is that they listen. They go into our Exodus Summit Facebook community, and they listen to what we're saying when we communicate to each other. They have opportunities to listen in a variety of ways, auditory as well as reading. They're reading blogs. What are people saying? Are Black men talking about what is the rub? The rub that we see is Black men want to feel safe. Only Black men can be talking about what it means to feel safe. Now, I'm going to get out here. I'm going to put myself out here. We are in the election, the 2024 election cycle. If we're going to lean in and talk about safety, we need to be talking about the things that Black men are. It is that are the lived experience, and how that can be different somewhere else. And I'm not just talking about the West is the best. You can never find nothing like the United States anywhere else. We got the best of the best, the medicine, the opportunities, capitalism is working for us, all of us in this country. But I have also learned that we have been lying to ourselves. So they are directly confronting Black excellence and how it has not served us, is not serving us, and that there is a better way when you can center your peace, which I hear Black men saying, I want peace, that I'm not just wanting to move in the world and be ignored. Okay. I'm not looking to not have my Blackness identify me as a threat. I'm also not wanting to be in the world and be completely ignored. I don't see you. You're not. Yes, I don't want to be confronted because of it. I want to be accepted, integrated. That, I think, is what when we're talking about this move abroad process, where the rubber needs to meet the road. Yeah, we can talk about how the cost of living is less. What does that really mean to a Black man? That means I can pay my child support on time because I'm not putting all my money in cars. I'm not putting all my money in my daily living expenses. I can take care of my kids. I can show my kids. Generational legacy stuff speaks to Black men. I want to leave something to my children. I want to show them. I want to teach them. This move abroad process, we're with our young people. I was about to say kids. We're with our young people for 4 days. We're going to sit at the same table we're broadcasting on, and we're going to sit with them with the computer, open up our retirement savings account with them again, and say, this is what consistency plus time gets you. Not when you 40 years old trying to make up the difference, because I want my son and my future daughter-in-law to be able to say, oh, we get married, we work the first few years. When we have our children, that we have the option, the opportunity. The move abroad process is the opportunity. When we get bogged down with student loan debt, that snatches your opportunity. When you out here and you're spending money on your cars and your opportunities are taken from. Come on, y'all know.
Yes.
What's resonating that can resonate with men at different ages and phases. You can say, I'm 40, when I'm 50, when I look back at 20 and 30, if I had just tweaked these little things, what I could do for my health, for my mental health, to be able to connect with my spouse, to not be in bankruptcy. I mean, we're talking about, this is what, when we talk about location freedom, time freedom, this is that. Yes, we can be talking about the same thing, but men can talk about it in a way that is authentic, that touches men in the tender place that men don't even know that they need to hear it until they can hear a group of men saying, hey, yeah, this is an issue. I'm exhausted. To hear a Black man say, I'm exhausted.
Let me piggyback off of that.
To lean in like this.
Yes.
To have to put to the stigma, the when I walk in a room to have people question, that is exhausting. To hear other Black men. Okay, so I'm just saying, I'm passionate about this. I want and need the space to hear other and to. Let me tell you what the ripple is going to be. Is you're going to have other Black men, but you're going to have Black women that are like, where y'all at? Where your brothers at? Where your cousins at? Because if you all can see this in your lives, then I know that the people that are within proximity of you are also able to grow and stretch and deepen from touching these things in their lives regularly.
And for men to know that they have some of the same opportunities that women are forging this thing. Like, right, we're starting this. But men, you guys have the access, what they call the sabbaticals and all of these things that and I understand the pride of work. And I understand about titles and the importance. Those things are important, but also relishing the opportunities that you already have at your fingertips.
I'm gonna try to mirror some things I've heard Robin say, and I think Rondell said in that statement he made earlier. You know, I've said before, women work, men, we are the work we do. It is our identity. So to challenge your statement earlier, to say, hey, there's some jobs out there and you're qualified to do that. That's not the same as this is my work. That we spend a lot of times as Black men doing jobs. And sometimes in this process of trying to find something to do, we're doing jobs. This isn't my passion. This isn't my and you know, there's these little obstacles that don't seem like big deal. I hear this passion that's fiery. That's great. I mean, I totally agree with everything my boss has said. But there's a viewpoint about that that's slightly different, because we're not going to engage each other with that same fire.
Right.
Are the women in our lives
Go ahead, go there.
going to be okay if we create the same kind of exclusive club for ourselves?
Ooh.
Come on now, Minister such and such.
I mean, because the women are saying this is a women's only group, which I applaud and I support. Are you going to support a men's only
group,
exclusive group, where you don't get to come in and make comments about how things are going for us?
Let me say something real quick, Herman, and that reminds me of this pastor. A pastor said, the church we went to, and he said, all y'all women up in here praying for y'all men to come to church, you better be careful what you ask for, because what's happening is your men come to church, and then all of a sudden they start getting involved and they start doing all these things. What you really want is your man to come sit here next to you while you do this thing. So be careful what you ask for, because you're exactly 100% spot on with that.
And it's not that we don't receive the encouragement and I hear it. That's life-giving, but it also means that it's going to create.
There's a new trust dynamic.
That's
being introduced,
so that we can find a safe space. You got to step out of the space. When we had that first men's conversation on our channel, there were women in the chat. It's a man's conversation. There are women in the chat. I mean, it's just like a guy gets on Facebook and he says, I have a question for the men. And the first 10 comments are not men. And again, I feel it. You know, but there has to be a safe space. I'm not sure we believe there's a safe space, or that we have the right to a safe space. You asked the question last night. She asked the question last night when you invited us on. She said, wait, it's going to be the couples, or it's going to be just the men?
Well, there's a way to handle that too, Herman, because Halisi's real good at that. When she sees it's somebody in the channel that doesn't appear to be in what she's trying to deal with at that time, she will cut them off. I mean, like, she will get rid of it.
And again,
that may be something you have to do when you see there's comments. You may have to don't even address the question.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think the ladies find a easier space to do that in than we have found to do that in. That does not become an incrimination. That does not become a fight. We're just trying to, you know, and again, I'm being devil's advocate here. I'm not trying to start a fight. When we turn off the lights and turn off the camera, we are having these conversations. So since we pointed out, okay. You know, the fact of the matter is that we're trying to. A part of this battle comes from the challenge our country has developed between Black men and Black women, and husbands and wives. And these cultural battles, that's a big thing to hear you say. I found a space where we can, these people are having conversation, consistency and engagement. We don't care if we do this together. We're okay with that. As long as we know also we can go over here and have this engagement, and that doesn't then become an issue. If we can do it together all the time. If every once in a while I can go over here and have a drink. If I'll go and have a smoke, and I'm using that just to kind of create a visual because I don't do either. But you know what I'm saying? Just to say I'm with my boys, and this is a safe space also. And we're talking about what's creating obstacles, and we're talking about the stigma of, is this going to be okay for real? Is this a safe space for men with women? Is this a safe space for men? Period.
And oftentimes we get attacked just on the basis of what we're saying, right? When we talk about safe space, there's a level of responsibility and accountability that comes with just being a man in general, especially when you're engaging with women. So, this generation is the cancel culture, right? So, if they don't feel that you're speaking in the language in which they want to be spoken to, then they want to cancel you. And I feel that's wrong. That is totally wrong. I'm trying to, you say you want me to engage another man, but yet you want to limit me to what it is that you want me to talk about. That is wrong. When we talk about moving abroad, I want to point out some key features. I'm going to do my best TD Jakes impersonation. When we talk about moving abroad, and these are the things that you gain as a Black man moving abroad. When you were growing up, at some point in time, you may have engaged with some police officers. You may felt as though you just can't be who you are as a person inside of Black skin. Moving abroad, I've learned that I don't have that same fear of a police officer because they're not looking for me because of my skin color.
They're speaking to you.
They're speaking to me, they're talking to me, they're engaging me. I don't have that same fear. I went back to the States, I got behind the wheel instantaneously. A couple of sheriffs were behind me. I was afraid because I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. Not the fact that I was thinking to myself whether I was going to live and die, but at that moment, I felt my security and my safety was compromised. The second aspect of moving abroad that you gain is being able to walk around freely with another group of individuals that don't see you the same way they see you in the States. They don't view you the exact same way. To them, you're the same as them. You're in their environment, but to them, that you're the same. And I found so many more nice individuals just being here in Mexico than I found when I was in the States. We were just out with the fellows at that. We were with a group of individuals, and we were at the breakfast that they had, the brunch for San Miguel. Beautiful event, right? But every person that was there were talking about how friendly the people that are here. Every person that was there was talking about how easy it was to actually walk out on the streets. I don't have to worry about the safety of my children. Why? Because in the States, more often than not, there are so many people that are walking around with guns that you're afraid of. And guns are not a prevalent thing out here for the average person. You're not going to find the average person walking around with a gun. It's not something that you can walk out on the street with. They don't have laws that say, hey, open carry. and their laws are totally different. So moving abroad brings those things, safety and comfort. If you have children, it also gives that. We always often talk about all the different things that are going on in other countries, and we relate it back to the U.S. To me, the safety that we feel here in Mexico is pretty much something more than what I felt when I was in the U.S. And I'm going to leave that subject alone. Right?
Yeah, I think Herman, you touched on something that I don't want to overlook and kind of blow off as jokingly, but you're serious. It's a serious subject because are the women going to trust us to have this space? Because we've been, we've been kind of programmed in our culture. A bunch of men get together, they up to no good. They up to no good. So I think subliminally, women have that in the back of their mind. Like, yeah, we can be together and we can do these things together. But if you have your space with the man, I need to see what's going on over there. Right. So I guess telling you. So the question is, are you really going to be able to trust in that space? And that's what we as men probably that we need to feel like, okay, we can have the space and create the space, but is it going to be really a space that we can thrive and do some things in?
So what I'm hearing is that this conversation with men are going to happen. It's going to happen, right? Because it is definitely a need. We definitely need to see Black men thrive and know that there is a plan and a place for them outside of the United States. And to be able to educate, and I know somebody had mentioned in here about us as women, how we go through the same things. We do go through the same things. We do have some of the same questions and all of that. But this specific conversation was specific to men. Women, we have our space, but trying to figure out how to communicate with our spouses if we are indeed interested in moving abroad as women, but also to show a way that men can thrive outside of the United States, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of that, the whole man. And to show them how they can do that, and that there are actually legitimately people, men who are doing it every day. And that's what this space was about. So are we getting some commitments here?
I want to make sure that I also talk about some of the nuts and bolts that it is my desire to hear men specifically double down on. We try to make sure at some point during our life that we talk about we're talking about moving abroad, but this cannot be your reality until you have a passport. And that there are real realities around why people don't have a passport. Okay. Whether that is $100 and whatever amount of dollars. I mean, I think if you get the passport book and the card, it's $160. Mm-hmm. That can be a really tall mountain to climb. Mm. So problem solving around how to put together $140, $120 something to be able to afford the the credential that gives you access to the world. I would hope that we could spend time with that. But then there are some legal issues that can, so we're talking about how to talk to young men about protecting the opportunity. Okay. Protect your opportunity. Okay. You get out here, you wild out, you default on your student loans. You cannot owe the federal, and I'm speaking as somebody who used to work in Treasury offset. They coming for that money. They're going to block your options when you default on your federal debt. You can't get out here and not pay your income tax, and so people are, like you said, child support. There are things that are real barriers. How can we help Black men to say, I want something? If we've created the desire for them, then I think that we should help them to see the path. That is something that I've seen. Stephanie, Rashida, we're just like, it cost a lot of money. Man, we put this trip together, for our kids, for our young people this week. I was just like, I was looking for a house sit all the way up until like a couple of weeks ago. Cause I was like, I know the difference that a house sit can make in the kind of money and the opportunities that you can then divert. If I'm not paying for this, housing accommodation, then I can do a few more things. What are the dotted lines that we can help? But okay, so passport is a fundamental issue we have to address. Another fundamental issue is a lot of people don't leave the neighborhood that they were born in. There were young people in the city that we came from that didn't go to the other side of our city.
Mhm.
And so we're talking about trying to get somebody to go. We just trying. How are you moving in the world and talking about the value that having a different perspective on the world can give, and how to move in those spaces with safety and confidence and pride in who you are? Those are real conversations that I'm hoping that when you all continue these, that we're addressing the world. People haven't left their state. People aren't moving in those ways. It has to happen with intention. The way that we're doing that in the Exodus Summit community is we're creating meetups. I've never been outside the country, but I didn't watch Stephanie and Rashida and Adelia and all of those people, and I want to come and see them. So yes, I'm going to get my passport, get on a plane. Some people have never flown on a plane. The couple that we just interviewed from Thailand, the wife had never been on a plane before, and she flew 16 hours because she was like, I want this. So as we are creating the hunger for people, we need to consider the reality. And this is just from a social service standpoint, that we have to look at the reality in which people. So could men be meeting up in places if that looks authentic for you? And then the idea of and the threat, stigma, whatever that we're going to have to address is that it is okay for Black men to wander in this world.
That's deep.
That is
To move with the idea of curiosity, and that is not, your identity isn't threatened, and you are not a threat in the world when you wander, when you can look at a picture that you can go to a place that you've seen in pictures, on videos, on YouTube, and then just sit in that place and look at the amazement, in amazement at the things that are just available. House sitting has taught me, I didn't know people live like that. People live like that.
Yeah.
You got to see. You've got to be able to see and not. And I'm saying, I'm at the point in my life where I go, that's really pretty. That's a really pretty 16-bedroom house. I don't want to clean that. I don't want to hire somebody to clean that, to be able to have that perspective. You're massaging information and touching parts of people, but we've got to handle the practical. We've got to create the motivation piece that says this is for me, this is something that I can do. People who look like me, who have a similar sharing your personal, your stories of origin. Man, we're not out here, coming from kings and queens. Man, my folks work hard. I was born in the projects, baby. I was born in the projects. My mama and daddy worked. My mama worked during the day. My dad worked at night. That's how Black couples work together to make a dream happen. So sharing your stories of origin are also a way for people to say, okay, so I don't have to be a tech mogul. I don't have to have, $500,000 in the bank. People are putting together a real reality, showing real numbers. That's what I love about Aging Grateful. Y'all out here saying, when that electric bill for $700 come through, you need to know there are what do they call it? There are consequences. Consequences for that beach life. And so giving that air of reality, I think, gives people the inspiration to be able to hook on to your story, hook on to something that looks like either the life that they want to have or the life that they're currently living, and be able to connect the dots to making a life altering, because most of us, this is not our normal community. We're creating the community. You have to have a tribe of people who say, this is not, you're not crazy for wanting to leave your mama, your daddy, your comfort, your house, the what you know, to move into the unknown.
Absolutely.
I
Somebody
want
brought,
to answer. I want to answer that question that just came up from
yeah,
Face to the Sun.
that's what I was gonna
Question
say.
says, can any of the men tonight's panel speak on how uncertainty of going to another country can be difficult and sometimes paralyzing? And any idea on how, as women, we can help our men overcome it? I'm going to tell you this story because this is a reality for me. When my wife presented to me that she wanted to come abroad, it was a challenge for me. It was a challenge for me because it was not something that I wanted to do. I have a 16-year-old son. So that was at the forefront of my mind. And thinking on moving abroad brought out so many different questions. But the planner in my wife, she addressed a lot of the questions with logic. Keep this in mind, women. At the forefront of men in their life, we are logical beings. We are logical beings. We want it to make sense to us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how you get that message across to us, sometimes that's a difficult task. Sometimes that means giving it to us in bite-sized portions, not trying to hand us a raw steak and try to get us to figure it out. If you prepare a meal and you know that the meal requires you to put seasoning salt on the meat and you have to sear the meat and flip the meat, and then you give us a little bit of that at a time, that's different than you trying to give us something without anything. My wife brought to me the data. This is the amount of money that we can save. This is the amount of money that it's going to take for us to move abroad. This is what we can get for the rental property if we were to rent out our home. These are the dividends that we're bringing in currently. And if we continue down this path, this is where we will be within a short period of time. She didn't just come with, oh, this is a beautiful place. She didn't come with, oh, this is nice and it's sitting by the water and the weather is beautiful all year round. She brought 100% real data to me that I can kind of look at and figure it out. And no, I wasn't a person that was online looking. I really despised that. I'm keeping it real, keeping it 100 with you. I really despised it. I hated the fact that she was online looking at all of these various different individuals. I didn't want to engage. I was standoffish. I was sitting there looking at her like, oh, well, you keep looking. I'm going to go ahead and do what I want to do anyway. It really don't make me a difference because I know in my mind I'm not going to do that. So you can go ahead and look until the sun shines in the morning time because by the night, I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't happening. But at that same time, as a man, we also have something inside of us, a good man.
Come on now.
We have something inside of us that says that we want to see our mates happy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it requires us to sacrifice some of our own happiness to see them happy. When I jumped on board, yes, the place, Port Valley, was beautiful. The weather was gorgeous. The locations that we were in were 100% nice. But when I went into the grocery store, and this is real deal for me. When I went into the grocery store in Port Valley, I went in and I spent $25. I got some pork chops, some sausage, some hamburgers, some chicken, some shrimp, and some fish, and some toilet paper, a thing of water, and some milk. And I walked out of the store and I spent $25. And when I went outside, there was a man that was there that had his grill turned on. And I gave him every single piece of meat that I had, and he seasoned it all up and put it on the grill and cooked it all up for us. and it was $15, and we all
We
ate.
gave him 15.
We gave him
pesos.
$15 in pesos, but he cooked all of that. We took all of that home, and it was me, Elise, my sister Babette, Cedric, their daughter Cece, and we all ate on that for 3 or 4 days.
Ended up throwing some away.
I went to the store the other day. I spent 900 pesos. Elise looked at me like, we don't need all of that. We went to the market, got fruits, vegetables, and meat from the meat market, and it was 900 pesos. When I tell you, there is nothing that can prepare you for reality. When you start going in the store and saying, oh, this is the amount of money I'm saving. When I went back to the States, it was the sticker shock. The sticker shock of going inside the grocery store and dreading getting to the counter and making it there, and they're telling you this is $346, and you say, I only got 15 items. This could not possibly be $346. There's no way. I almost left the food on the counter. I picked up the phone and called my wife, and I told her, I said, babe, do you realize how much this food is? And she said, I understand, babe. I'm telling you, there's nothing that compares. So if you're looking to try to get your man on board, sometimes it means spoon feeding him, but make sure that you get the good information, opposed to just coming to him and saying, this is beautiful, this is nice, the weather is great. Please get more information than that.
Yeah, let me piggyback off that for that question. Look at these YouTube people that are in this chat. Tell your husband to go to their channel, because all of these people in here talk real life stuff. We're not showing the pictures at the beach and the resorts and stuff. You got, I mean, scroll through there. You got Tracy Collins is in there. You got H&D Abroad.
It's a wonderful travel life.
Travel life.
Face to the sun. I mean,
Nikki's
so many different people.
Or he's in there talking about finances. I mean, these are real life people that are talking day.
Our Exodus life.
Yes. Servant, teacher, Nikki, all of this is real life.
Right.
You can do this. And I'm glad that we had this conversation. I'm glad because men, I mean, I know that there are men who want to move forward or even thought about it. Or even if their spouses want to move and they don't know how to maneuver the conversation, like Robert was saying. Good conversation, and one that we definitely need to continue. And since you guys are going to be doing this, guys, we're gonna put it on there. Do you guys have any additional questions, last minute thoughts, anything that you want to add or share at this time?
Just a quick thought to answer to her question.
Yes.
Face to the sun. Remember that each man's reasons are individual and unique and authentic to him. Where your father might not have had, he might have some history. Yeah, I'm 50. These guys are 50. At 56, civil rights was right before we existed in the world, and we feel like we're rolling back into that. So there's an experience we bring to the table with that. With your husband, and again, this is pretty, this is beautiful, this is a dream. Those are great things to hear, but that's not information. And Rob just laid it down. He just preached the whole sermon. That's true. That's, I mean, it opened the doors of the church. He said the whole word. Because I mean, it's if you have solid information about why something is, we respect your dreams. We respect your likes and dislikes. My baby started this whole conversation with a dream. And I mean, that's a big deal for me. Considering the challenges we've had, fulfilling any of her dreams is, come on, let's make that happen. But at the same time, I got to see how that works. What does that look like? As men, as Black men, when you hear us talk about this all the time, we talk about it a lot on our channel. We come to the table with what we believe our responsibilities are. We have responsibility to our parents, wherever they are in their aging process. We have a responsibility to whatever kids we have, in-house or out of house, with someone else, with you. Our children are young adults. And are they, I battle with, are they at a phase where I can leave them alone and they feel still connected to me? Am I abandoning them? You deal with a whole kind of things. If the family gonna talk me out of it, can I afford it? Can I find work that brings me joy and passion somewhere else? What can I work outside the country? These are big deals. We'll do some little work to fill the gap, but then can I get back to me being me, to doing what brings me joy? Because if I'm not whole, then none of this matters.
Right.
If I can't be an authentic whole me, it's got to be more than just we went on ahead and did something and I kind of BS'd around until I found something. Man, you're gonna make a man angry. You're gonna end up with somebody you do not want to live with, and then you left me because I wasn't. We got a whole drama here. There's a conversation you have to have. Sit down and have that conversation
over and over and over again.
Encourage it, because traveling abroad and that small bites analogy, man, hey, let's go travel. Let's go see something. The young couple who said they went to Japan that we interviewed a couple of weeks ago, he had never been out of the country. They went to Japan and he was like, oh, we can do this. And he had never been out of his city. Sometimes you got to see it. I keep telling D, until my feet are on the ground, we're just having a conversation. Until my hands are on it, it's just pictures. You can show me all the videos. You can show me.
Run all the numbers.
I can watch sweet potato pies made as many times as I want to. Until I make a sweet potato pie, I'm just watching sweet potato pies. That's not a big thing. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's got to be something you put into effect. Find ways to make the process realistic in bites that is acceptable, that is understandable, that is conversational, that is realistic.
And listen, try to listen without judgment. We had a conversation with Angela and Lamar that was, can your marriage survive the move abroad? If you are not schooled in active listening, it is a skill you need to develop. If you cannot mirror what your partner is saying, so what you're saying is, because we can go there too now. You know we can go there.
Right. And one thing that Cartez has brought up that is the truth, and that is what your relationship is in the States.
Hey.
If you go out of the country, it is going to be the same thing. And sometimes it might be worse, because here where you have family and friends that you can go to, now you're here and it's just you. Then that has its advantages and disadvantages. But hey,
when you only two people that speak English, and I mean, like all of y'all support, baby, it's either gonna flourish or it's gonna burn.
Moving abroad is like the two of you trapped in an escape room, and there is no time limit.
Absolutely.
You can't work together to get out. You in that room alone.
You're in
and
trouble.
Under the mat.
Baby, the two should be one.
Right. You become one real quick. Or not.
and not one at breaking down the door. You got to come up with a solution.
And before you move abroad, know who you are. That is
individually.
I preach this. I say this every single time. Know who you are. Get in contact with your energy. Whoever that energy is, get in contact with that energy, because at the core there's a person there.
Right.
I'm one of those individuals that I'm grounded, right? So typically wherever I go, I want to find a location where I can feel like I'm safe and I'm at home, right? My wife is one of those individuals that she can pick up and go, and it wouldn't be a problem for her. Let's get it going. Let's move. Let's ride. And that's my wife. But you need to know who you are as an individual.
Right.
You need to know what it is that you really want to do. Do I want to move abroad and travel all over the place? Do I want to go to one location to save money? Am I trying? What is it that you're really seeking when you move abroad? Don't just go out there all willy-nilly and don't have an understanding on any of those, because those things,
That's the things that come up.
that's going to come up, and those things are going to be repetitive, and they will destroy your relationship.
Let me tell you why. Okay, so and I'm saying this because we met as psychology students in college. So we got a little bit of book understanding that we have had show up in our. If you have not been able to express to your partner, I feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
I feel isolated. I am hurting. And you've been able to cover that up in the States. Do you understand how unnerving what that can look like when you're just like, I don't have nowhere else to put this. And I'm telling you, when we're in the process, we just undid our whole lives. And now you want to tell me you are lonely, you're hurting, you've not been listening to me. Or that when you decide, I'm going to be honest, and you are unsure that I can trust that you will hear me and not leave me. I mean, that's just, you got a lot that's going to be happening over here. So sometimes this, and we've talked about this before, sometimes you may need to navigate some of this emotional thing with a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
Get some communication skills, not in couples counseling. Go to start on your own thing. And then a good counselor will then bring you all together so that you can learn to have the talking stick. And I say my stick. And then because it's so painstaking. What did you hear that I said? You said so and so and so and so and so. Is that what you meant, what you said? Yes, that was, and then, you take little bite size, and that is how you build a trust. But when I say this process is work, it is so work.
It is.
So much.
It is.
It is.
Because this is a life partnership.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Black love can look so beautiful, but the beauty comes in from truly being able to speak my truth and have it understood by at least one other human being on this planet.
Yes.
If the move abroad process is giving you that you can step into that deeply at 40, at 50, at 30, imagine how rich, how colorful, the quality of life that you can have. Yes, you're going to have pretty places and more money and, go and do all things, but you talking about
peace,
having a life that when you're being eulogized, that somebody's shedding tears because I had a real connection in this life, and that so many people don't have it. This is your opportunity.
Somebody said earlier, they quoted the book, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. But when the planets align,
When the
planets align, and I want to say this to the men.
Yes.
This is hard.
Mm-hmm.
This is not simple. This is hard because this is sacrificial. This is vulnerability. This is intimacy. This is because you got to tap a piece of yourself that you may not be familiar with, because you may not have been allowed to, or you may not have allowed yourself to. And you got it. We riding on the plane today, and I whispered in her ear, "I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. I'm so overwhelmed."
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
As a husband, as a partner, as a
Yes.
man, you don't want to admit those things,
Right.
because back to the wind, Atlas shoulders, you're trained for that.
Yeah.
We are trained to die.
Mm.
And to prepare ourselves to live is a challenge.
Yes.
See, ladies, you want to know where to support? Support us in being able to live, not tell us how to live. I don't need that. I don't need that. Support us in being able to live. Know when to step in and know when to get out of the way.
And y'all tell us. That's
Ooh,
too much.
tell us. Yes.
That's too much.
Because in a fruitful relationship, and I'm learning this 30 years in a fruitful relationship, a supportive partner will stand down
Mm-hmm.
so that you can plant the seed you need to plant and grow, so that they have a beanstalk to which to climb. Huh?
Come on now. Come on now.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
telling
that's
you.
what
Thank
he
you.
would tell me. He would
Thank
tell
you,
me when I
men.
would come
Thank
to
you,
him.
men.
Yes.
When I
Thank
would come
you.
to
Thank
him
you.
with it, Robert would say, "I heard you. I heard you. I want to discuss this right now. I heard you." And I wouldn't come right back to him. I'd wait like a week or two. I'd see a really, really good video, maybe with you all, maybe with the Yard Bros. Rob can be really funny and Rondell can be really funny. So I was like, oh, I see a connection there. So I, drop him a text messages and be like, oh, look, Rondell was saying this, that, and the other. But if it was a Sunday and he was watching football and I was like, hey, the Westmeadows, the Halisi and Rickard, he'd be like, Elise, I heard you the other day. So I had to know when to tell him and I had to know when to wait.
But also, let me say this. Many of times we get into this world and we talk about happiness, right? Especially when you talk about relationships and marriage. It is not my job to make you happy.
Right.
Not your job.
That's
It
right.
is not your job to make me happy. Happiness is a self thing that deals
Yes,
with
sir.
you and you alone. When you start to walk around the world and believe that it's another person's job to actually provide you with happiness, you are putting too much on the shoulders of that one individual. You need to grab hold of the reins and find your own happiness, because it is not that person's job.
That's another
Per
topic.
adventure. Per adventure.
Write it
Per
down.
adventure. I say this, per adventure, it is my opportunity to provide you with joy. I was joyful that we were able to go out together. I was joyful that we were able to engage things, spend some time together in life. We shared some quality moments. We purchased a few things, and I brought some joy to your life. But happiness, please find that on your own.
Come on now.
I'm happy with who I am as an individual. I enjoy playing chess. Anybody knows me, I'm going to find somebody. I don't care if it's an ant on the ground. I'm going to find that ant and I are going to have a chess match. And I don't care if I lose or win. I am enjoying that moment because I'm engaged in something that I enjoy doing. Find that inside of yourself.
That is beautiful.
Find that inside of yourself, because no matter where you go, you bring you with you.
That's right.
No matter where you go, you bring you with you. And since you bring you with you, bring some happiness with you. Bring some of that with you.
You're gonna bring that trauma response. But whether you want it to or not, it's gonna show up.
Man, you need to go ahead and do your other jakes.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This has been an awesome conversation. And I pray that we continue these conversations, that we actually, from our heart, we want people to be successful in their lives, to thrive. We want to be here as examples if we can, answer questions if we can, encourage, inspire. That's what we are here for. And so I hope the dialogue continues. I hope you are subscribed to all of these amazing people and their channels, guys.
Yes.
And we are saying much love to you guys. Thank you, Official Metamorphosis. Thank you, HND.
Thanks. Yes.
And
and you guys hang around after, you know.
hang around.
And everybody else, like, share, subscribe, go through these comments.
Yes.
Channel, and get the information, because there's a lot of I mean, this is free. This is YouTube University in this chat.
Right here.
Yes. Yeah, in the chat, for real. Yes.
So talking about real life stuff, but we'll see you guys next time. Talk to you later.
Peace.
All right.
Okay.